Chances of Shane McMahon getting inducted into the yeah, hold on. I want to do this one as its own video. I got a lot to say. All right, we got a comment here from Not JPEG. It says chances of Shane McMahon getting inducted into next year's WWE Hall of Fame along with his sister. 0%. I don't know what happened, what is happening. I don't know what currently is happening inside of the McMahon family, but I will tell you, like the WrestleMania 16, the WrestleMania 2000 in Los Angeles, where we had a McMahon in every corner, and they were kind of billing Triple H, The Rock, Big Show, and Mick Foley as like the four-way of like if the McMahons could get in the ring and fight it out. I think if we had a ring somewhere, Vince, Linda, Stephanie, and Shane would all get in there. I think we all know that every corner of the McMahons is due respect to where the company is for different reasons. Vince wouldn't be there if, you know, he wasn't able to buy the companies from his father, and then he had a lot of ideas that kind of pushed the company to where it was. Linda, you can't forget that I think that she was behind the money that bought the company that Vince ran, and then also was the businesswoman that kept the business running with Vince's ideas. Shane, when he came into the business, he was like he learned like what to do. He was like the referee, then he became like the announcer, and that kind of led to him like you know, being on screen, and that's kind of like what everybody remembers. But behind the scenes, he was getting jobs that he was knocking out of the park. I think that he was one of the big ones that kind of launched the website, and then like when the website was kind of at its peaks and like the early 2000s, I think that Shane was the one behind making those decisions. What was like what kids and people wanted to see on the internet from wrestling. It wasn't just like raw stats, it was stories and branching into other companies and doing things like that. But as far as like in a certain time period, Shane was the one telling Vince what was cool in the world. I mean, Shane was the guy that brought Floyd Mayweather to WrestleMania 24. He was the one that kind of went out on the edge and had weird ideas to like bring in the outside people, and was able to tell Vince like who was hip, who was down with it, with you know, world culture that was out there. Stephanie, of course, you know, she took over, and I think she's one of the biggest reasons why Shane left, because Shane saw that, you know, he wasn't the one gaining the most power in WWF behind, you know, Stephanie being in charge of the writing committee and kind of like being involved with Vince more, that if anybody was going to take over WWE, it was going to be Stephanie. I think that's why Shane went out on his own and tried to make his own name in business. And then he came back 2016, and you know, he worked his way back into the company, but he never gained any power. Like I kept on waiting to hear that he has some sort of a job, and like he just was an entertainer. Like I'm sure he did things backstage, like we've all know the story about him getting fired after being a producer for the Royal Rumble, and then producing himself, having such a big spot in the Rumble, it seemed like he won the damn thing. But I think that like Shane, Stephanie, Linda, Vince, I don't know what goes on inside their houses away from WWE. I think that they can be, you know, they can get along, they can do what a family needs to do, but I don't think there's a whole lot of 4-man dinners. I don't think there's a whole lot of like them 4 getting together in a room. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that are going to be broken down in documentaries and books, interviews, you know, years down the road. These are famous people, but I mean, like they surround themselves with other people that like kind of dish out the dirt later in life. I think that mistakes were made inside of this family that they probably can't go back on. And there's probably a lot of, you know, backstabbing and stuff that we thought was wrestling angles that is real life. I think that Shane deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and that was my first thought when they told Stephanie she was going to be in there. I was like, how can you put Stephanie into the WWE Hall of Fame at the point where she's going to the Hall of Fame, but you're not going to put Vince in, and then you're not going to put Shane in? Like, I think those are two more important names to be going into that point.